How much of your money should actually be in stocks? Most people answer that with a gut feeling, and your gut is the worst possible tool for the job. Picture two people sitting down to invest, both saying the same thing: I'm comfortable with risk, go aggressive. One is 28, steady job, no debt. The other is 58, hoping to retire in 4 years with a job that started to look shaky. Same feeling about risk. But when the market falls hard, and sooner or later it will, it barely scratches the first person. It could wreck the second. Because how much risk you can handle is a feeling. How much you can afford, that's a fact. And only one of those two should be building your portfolio. So let's separate the two, because the bank never confuses them, and neither should you. Start with the feeling: risk tolerance. Risk tolerance is how much volatility you can stomach without panicking. It's real and it matters. The trouble is how it's measured. You answer a questionnaire on a calm afternoon. How would you feel if your portfolio dropped 20%? And you tick, I'd stay invested. But that's a guess about a version of you that doesn't exist yet, the one watching real money disappear in a real crash. And that's a reason that guess is almost always wrong. A real loss hurts far more than the same-sized gain ever felt good. So the calm version of you genuinely underestimates the panic the real version will feel. A feeling measured in calm weather tells you almost nothing about how you act in a storm. So tolerance has a job to do here, but a smaller one than you think. Hold that thought. Now the fact. Risk capacity. This is how much risk you can actually afford. And unlike a feeling, you can work it out. A bank checks 3 things. So should you. The first is your time horizon. When will you need this money? Decades away and a crash is just noise. It has years to recover before you even touch it. But if you need it in 3 years, the same crash is a real danger because you might have to sell while you're down. The sooner you need the money, the less risk you can afford, however brave you feel. The second is your income. A steady salary with something left to invest each month quietly turns a crash into an opportunity. You keep buying while everything's marked down. But if your income is shaky, or you're already living off your portfolio, you lose that. You could be forced to sell at the worst possible moment. Steady income hands you capacity. Unstable income takes it back. And the third brings us right back to where the series started: your buffer. The cash safety layer from the first episode is what decides whether a crash can force your hand. With it, you simply ride a storm out. Your life is funded from somewhere the market can't reach. Without it, your investment becomes your emergency fund, and the market gets to choose the day you sell. The buffer is the thing that lets you actually hold the risk you take. Notice what all 3 have in common. Not one of them is a feeling. They are facts about your life, which is exactly why a banker trusts them over any questionnaire. It's also why the popular rule of thumb, put 110 minus your age into stocks, is too crude to lean on it. Age is a rough stand-in for just one of the 3. It knows nothing about your income or your buffer. 2 people the same age can sit at completely different levels of risk, and both be right at the same time. Take our 2 investors from the start. The 20-year-old has decades before they need the money, steady income to keep buying through any dip, and a buffer behind them. Capacity on all 3 counts. They can genuinely afford to be aggressive. The 50-year-old has a short horizon income that's wobbling and a retirement bearing down. Low capacity, whatever their gut says. Same feeling about risk, almost the opposite capacity. The feeling was never the deciding factor. The facts were. So you've got a feeling and a fact. Here's how they fit, and how to actually set your number. Of course, you take the smaller one of the 2. Capacity sets your ceiling, the most risk your life can absorb. Tolerance can only pull you below it, never above. So work out your capacity first. Time horizon, income, buffer, honest, assessed. And let that give you the ceiling. Then hold it up against the feeling. If you can live with that level, that's your answer. If it would genuinely stop you sleeping, come down until it doesn't. But never the other way around. Courage is not a reason to take more risk than your life can absorb. The most fearless investor's life still gets wrecked if a crash forces them to sell at the bottom. And there's a quiet third question most people skip entirely. How much risk do you even need to take? If your plan already works with less, there's no metal for taking more. The goal is to reach your target, not to carry the most risk you can stand. It all rests on what we built first. The buffer is the foundation, the thing that makes any of this risk survivable. Your investing engine sits on top of it, and how hard the engine runs is precisely this decision. Set it from the facts, and a crash becomes something you sit through, not something that rips the wheel out of your hands. And if you like to put your feelings to the test, there's a free risk assessment tool on our site. The link is pinned in the comment below. So stop guessing how much risk to take. Work out whether you can afford it. Ask how much you actually need, and let your nerves trim it down only if they must. The feeling gets a vote, the fact gets the final say. Get that order right. And you stop riding the market's mood, you start holding a level of risk you can live with, in the good years and in the bad. And once you know how much risk belongs in your portfolio, the next question is how to spread it. How many funds do you actually need? Is one enough, or do you need 10? That's next. I'm Philip. Stay skeptical and see you on the next one.